I'm finishing out the letter C's this morning, and I only have about 5 records left, so finally it's almost over. There are 5 kind of interesting ones though. So the first one here is by a band called Collection D'Arnell Andrea, and the name of the album is Un Automne Loroy, I believe. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It's a French sort of dark wave band from the mid to late 80s. They put out a couple of albums. I found this one at a record store in DeLand, Florida back in the late 80s. Bought it new. Still sounds surprisingly good. It's got a little bit of a Dead Can Dance vibe to it. Kind of a C'est l'Amour, one of those 4AD rip-off labels from back in the day. Music's actually pretty decent though. The record store, I can't remember the name of the record store where I bought this, but I was told that Shaquille O'Neal used to shop in there. And I also bought a Pacific CD in that store. I don't remember too much else about it. I think I only went there one time. So, Collection D'Arnell Andrea. Next up is an album by the Colourfield. Not their only long player, their first long player. Virgins and Philistines. This is a really nice copy. This is a domestic copy, so it has Can't Get Enough of You Baby, Pushing Up Daisies, Your Love Was Smashing, which are songs that are not on the British version of this. I used to have the British version of it. Got rid of it a while back for some reason, but decided to keep the American pressing. It's on Chrysalis. And it's one of my favorite albums of all time. I like every single track on it. And if you're interested in the Colourfield, which was a band that Terry Hall had after Funboy 3, then I recommend that you pick this up on CD because it has all of the tracks from the American and the UK pressing, and they're all great. So the Colourfield, totally worth it. Next, this is a rather strange record. This is the album One Hell Soundwich by Jay Cotton and Gary Panter. Of course, Gary Panter was the artist who did sets for Pee-wee's Playhouse. He also did some independent artwork for different artists on the Ralph label. I don't know how well you can see the art on here, but it's kind of strange typography, images. This album is well, whatever you would call this. It's a picture disc. That's the word I'm looking for. These are ET feet upside down on the reverse, and on the front side you have some kind of homemade artwork, folky art, very strange looking. The music on here is very eclectic. It's hard for me to explain, so maybe this booklet will help. On fake Deutsche Grammophon, I'll show you a couple of pages in here. Explains the history of all these recordings. I'm not sure any of this history is true or that any of these recordings exist other than on this picture disc, but supposedly the music on the picture disc was taken from, there's the top side of the ETs, was taken from various 7-inch single releases put out by these guys in the 70s. So you do get this very elaborate booklet. Some more original Panter art there. It's actually gives you a lot to look at while you're listening to the music. My favorite thing on here though is a cover of God Save the Queen that sounds like it was performed by Alvin and the Chipmunks. And I mean, it sounds so much like Alvin and the Chipmunks that it probably was them, although I don't know the provenance of that piece and I don't know exactly where it originated, but it sounds like them. Anyway, I'm rambling. Okay, so Jay Cotton, Gary Panter. This has never been released on CD. It's an excellent album. You can pick it up relatively cheap for as obscure and rare as it is. I think I've seen copies of it for $10, $15. I think I paid $10 for it. Mine was used back in the 80s. Okay, wrapping things up, I've got a couple of albums by The Cure. A UK fiction pressing of Boys Don't Cry. And here's the inside label. This is an album that I picked up when I was in England in 1985. Actually, might have been my first Cure LP. It's a really good one. Just jam-packed with songs, and they're all high-quality songs. This pressing sounds good. Boys Don't Cry, of course, was the big hit on here, but Fire in Cairo, Killing an Arab, those are all really good songs too. Jumping Someone Else's Train. And then last but not least, I have a Cure 12-inch single, Why Can't I Be You? Purchased this new at the record store back in the 80s. Would love to play this in a club set. Haven't done it yet, but the remix of this is very brassy. It's really good. It's about 9 minutes long, and then the B-side is a song called Japanese Dream, which is about 6 minutes long, kind of a more or less tribal percussion sounding thing. Really sounds very different compared to the A-side. So that's it for the C's. Just wanted to wrap things up and move on to the next letter. So please subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching my video.